So today's thoughts are based on things that have come up in the EML teachings and discussions and places like that. So I'm going to give you 3 things to think about today. Hopefully they're all really practical. The third one will be because it's the Buddhist worldview. But there are things that we've witnessed that have happened here with people. And so I think it will I hope it's helpful. So the first one, there's going to be a little bit of exaggeration, just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit. So people can get themselves really organized before coming to train at a monastery. They really get organized. And they start getting themselves so organized that they plan for things that they need here that are maroon in color. And so a lot of time is spent searching the internet for the right maroon colored things. So, if you've been here once, you know that in the summer, Chenrezig Hall is about 50 degrees cooler than the outside temperature, and you need to stay warm. So you want a maroon colored blanket to wear in the dining room because you might die of hypothermia, right? So you get that all lined up. And then, of course, you want to have, if it gets really cold in here, you want to have maroon-colored mitts, and, you'll be shoveling snow in the winter anyways. You get maroon-colored mitts. And then you've got to do you want to do some gardening in the summer, so you got to get maroon-colored gloves, and these are really handy when you're picking knapweed. And then, again, back to the dining room. You've got to have a maroon-colored hat, and then you need other things at the Abbey. So you start looking everywhere for things that are in the range of maroon. Now, the trouble is that you can see already the problem. I'm getting upset already just looking at this. They don't all match. They're different. So what do? And then you make a complaint online with Amazon, like, the color chart's wrong. I wanted this color maroon. I've got a match at the Abbey, and they don't want to hear your problems. So let's see. Deal with it. Then, you know what? I don't know what this is. I don't know. Is it cookie cutter? A bulb planter. Well, I think it'd be great for Christmas cookies. Besides, I'm still attached to some things. Let me get here slowly, would you? Bulb planter. Anyway, again, you know what? The color is just a little bit off. But I've spent so much time online. But you know what? I'll have more time to practice when I'm at the Abbey. And then I can really get myself prepared to be there. Oh, this is a winner. This is a winner. Maroon-colored duct tape. Now, this is essential. I keep it where I know no one else will get it, because this is really a lifesaver. I've only seen one of these rolls in my life. So don't move that off the table. Of course, you've heard endlessly the stories about, this tool. Well, you want to make sure it's maroon. There you go. Okay. So let's see, what else have we got here? Got a towel. Yeah. Work clothes. Okay. Yeah, the bag. Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah. And, then of course, if you stay here long enough, you're going to need glasses. So make sure they're maroon in color. And so a lot of time is spent gathering stuff. And then if you got debt, you're spending all your time making Excel sheets and figuring out how you're going to clear off your debt. And you're working 2 jobs, but there's no time for practice because I'm getting ready to come to the monastery to train. And then you get to the day where the debt's paid off and, well, there's no time to practice. Did I mention that? There's just no time to practice. And then all of these surprises happen once you get here. So, point number 1, don't do that. Start working on your mind now, and these things will get into place. You don't need much of the stuff I just showed you. So then the second comment that came up recently in the last few days is, well, I don't know if I can stand the heat at the Abbey. They're not talking about the temperature at all, but can I make it here? Can I really make it here? And so I'm going to say back to you, really? Really? Come on, really? Can you make it here? Have you never done things in your life so far where you've actually risked your life for something worldly? Come on. Really? You can't make it here? In a place that's dedicated to creating virtue? Where everyone's on the same page? It's too hard? Give me a break. I'm going to tell you 2 stories. And you've got more than I do, and I'm only going to tell you the ones I'm comfortable telling you. Okay, first of all, risking my life. Oh, there's so many. You know, it's amazing that we actually made it through our 20s if you're honest with yourself, right? For what reasons? That's the big one. Okay, I'm going to shorten this up because it could be a very long BC, so I'm going to just do this in brief. So I was in my late 20s. I was traveling with my sister and her new husband and my friend in a car. We were heading to my parents' place, which was a 2.5-hour drive away. It was the second week of December. And of course, we left at 4 o'clock because that's when we were all free to go. And at 4 o'clock, where I was, you know, it's getting dark. There was no forecast for a blizzard. But, you know, who cares if there is, because we're going to this Christmas party. It's very important. You know, we're going to go and have fun and eat good food and drink and sing and all kinds of things. So about 30 minutes into this trip, if you've ever been in Alberta, blizzards are a real thing, okay? They're a real thing. A blizzard hit out of the blue. So here we are going on the highway. First of all, my friend was driving. Bad news, terrible driver. So 30 minutes into the trip, did it occur to us to say to ourselves, hey, this looks dangerous. Maybe we should turn back and head out in the morning. No, because we're all attached to this outcome of getting there for the party the next day and being with our friends and family. So we continued. But after about 30 minutes, I said to my brother-in-law, would you please drive? I can't stand this, and I'm really afraid. Because, you know, big trucks are passing us. If you've had the experience in a blizzard, this kicks up all kinds of snow. You're driving blind for several seconds in a car that doesn't have winter tires, you know, and somebody who's a very poor driver. So even 30 minutes into the trip, I was a former Catholic. I was saying Hail Marys like you would not believe. I was terrified that this was going to be the end. It came close. So my brother-in-law, we pull over. Of course, we could have turned around there. Did that occur to us? No, of course not, because we want the outcome of this party. And so then my brother-in-law starts driving. He's a very good driver. But remember, the car has no snow tires. So we continue on. The blizzard gets worse. Pretty soon, it's just like moments of seeing where we're going, and we're all looking for the lines on the road, right? I even had a flashlight held out, and that didn't really do much. And then all of a sudden, my brother-in-law had to really slow down because to my right, there's a whole bunch of cows. They're right beside the car. And we were going about 20 miles an hour at this point. And I screamed, and I just closed my eyes because I thought, if they're beside us here, they're in front of us there. And sure enough, they were all over the road. They had gotten free from some farmer's field, and in the blizzard, they're on the road. And I just closed my eyes, and I thought, this is it. We're done. And then, because I'm a former Catholic, there was a miracle. We didn't die. We did not die. I don't know what my brother-in-law did, honestly, because then we pulled over and we saw that the whole herd was on the highway. The whole herd. Okay, so we made it to the destination, right? What did I get out of that? What did we get out of it? Well, we ate and drank too much, right? So it was a headache the next day. And attachment was just reaffirmed. And that was worth risking our life for those worldly things. You know, when you come to the monastery to train, you're not going to have that experience. You won't have it. Well, I guess you could, but well, we'll give you some tips once you get here. So, you know what I'm going to ask you to do some homework. Even if you're not exploring monastic life, you want to deepen your practice. Look at the things you've done in your life so far that you've risked your life for what reasons? For what reasons? What did you get out of it? And how did it shape what came afterwards and your future? And then the question comes, well, can I really make it at the Abbey? Can I make it? I mean, the schedule I've heard about many times now. Well, then I'm going to ask you to think about other things you've done in your life for worldly gain. Look at what you've done. Look at what you've endured. Physical hardships, mental hardships. For what purpose? What did you get out of it? And has it really brought you closer to understanding yourself more deeply and being a kinder and wiser person and deepening your Dharma practice if that's your goal? So here's another quick story. So this this particular season of my life was all involved with trying to connect with my boyfriend at the time, and obviously people-pleasing was involved in there, and there's a great BBC, watch it. It was presented yesterday by Venerable Chini. So my friend was very interested in finding dinosaur bones. I had no interest in this. However, I thought that when you're with a person, you want to support their interests. And so for years and years and years, I'm embarrassed to say how many, so I won't. And I won't tell you the number of hours that were spent looking for dinosaur bones in beautiful places. That's for sure. It was very relaxing. At the time I was a teacher, it was a way of de-stressing and calming down. It was beautiful. Usually it was very hot. And also there was all kinds of things going on where, it was dangerous, the terrain was difficult, we were going down cliffs towards rivers or creek beds. We always made sure that we were doing it legally, so I want to make that a point. We would ask the owners of the land if we could go on their property and look for stuff. I don't know if we said dinosaur bones, but look for stuff. So in that way it was kind of legal. And this went on and on and on. And I kind of got to like it. And then I got smart enough that if I walked ahead of my friend, I would find the stuff first, because then I got to know what to look for. But this one particular time, we were out in it was stunning scenery. If you've ever been to Badlands, it's this area where the land has eroded. It looks actually like another planet. It's like desert-like. And there's no danger of bears there. There is the danger of rattlesnakes, but you can hear them. There's no danger of cougars, so you can sort of part company. If you're having a fight with your friend, you can part company for hours, and you don't have to worry about, dying underneath the claws of some creature, maybe a squirrel, but that's not a threat. So this one day, we were out in this new place. I was relying on my friend, who has an excellent sense of direction. I don't, to make sure that he knew where we were. Well, of course, we were in a new location, and we got into this different landscape that's all of these different shapes. And after about 3 hours, he turned back to me and he said, I think we should probably go back, because I'm not sure where back is. And I thought, great. But I had faith in him. So we sat down, we had some lunch, we drank the rest of the water that we had, and then we started walking again. We were totally lost. Another 2 hours went by. My friend didn't know where we were. We were getting really dehydrated, and when you get dehydrated, you get disoriented. I also happened to get crabby. And so this was not too much fun, but we were really getting dangerously low on fluids in our body and just the way to think clearly. And then miraculously, we came upon this cluster of cactus plants that had just bloomed. Now, I don't know if all cactus plants are like this. I'm not a desert person, but they produce some fruits that actually have water in them. So we just feasted on these cactus blooms for about 30 minutes and kind of got more, stable in our bodies. But I could tell that we were both in trouble. We were really in trouble. There were no cell phones. This was 20 plus years ago. And so eventually, we actually did find our way back to the car, but we were totally messed up. Like we were just so dehydrated and disoriented that we had to wait for a couple of hours before I could drive. So again, stupidity. I'm telling you examples of personal stupidity. That was a tremendous hardship. Most of those trips looking for dinosaur bones, and we found fascinating things that we were sure all our friends would be interested in. Most of them weren't. But our living room was filled with these things that were gained at huge cost to our life. For what purpose? Does it matter now that I know about dinosaur bones? It's so embarrassing. So if you think for a minute that when your mind tells you, I don't know if I can make it at the Abbey, bring to mind times when you have done very strenuous things, where you've gone through very big difficulties. And believe me, you have the fortitude, and we'll help you grow it. That's for sure. And there's ways to grow it in positive ways where you can actually withstand. Well, withstand is not the word. That's the old way of thinking. I just had a slip there, where you can grow your ability to, encounter things that you don't expect to encounter. And the schedule is the least of your worries. Really, it really is. What is the biggest problem here? The biggest problem is our mind. It is not other people here. It is not the Dharma. It is not our ordination. It is not the precepts. So you got to sit yourself down every day, maybe for a while, and sit yourself down and say, hey, what's really going on here? So there's all kinds of teachings to help us with this. I think if you're preparing to come and investigate training at a monastery, get yourself a copy of Good Karma. Start really working the Lam Rim teachings every day. Don't be doing the Excel sheets. Don't be gathering the maroon things. Work on your mind and your heart. Do what you can, as we heard this morning in the teachings, but not all of you did. Work on the things that are the biggest obstacle, the biggest challenges for afflicted mental states. Work on them now. Do prostrations now. If you wait until you get here, well, you'll have that experience. I'd like to read briefly from Good Karma, some advice that is just beautiful. And the verse it relates to, at first you may think that has nothing to do with your talk, Samton. Well, just give me a break, okay? So here's the verse. When I'm overwhelmed by sloth while practicing the Dharma, it is the weapon of destructive karma turning upon me for amassing obscurations to the sublime Dharma. From now on, I will undergo hardships for the sake of the Dharma. So Venerable Children's commentary is this. So first of all, this relates to, sitting down to meditate and you drift off, you're nodding off, you're just not getting anywhere in your practice. We've had a good night's sleep, but we just can't keep our mind on the meditation object. But what we have to really keep in our mind is this. To purify this kind of destructive karma and establish new patterns of behavior, we resolve to undergo hardships for the sake of the Dharma. We're willing to undergo hardships, whatever hardships they are, that we encounter along the path, and we use the thought training teachings to transform adversity into the path and to eliminate our obscurations to the sublime Dharma. So just remember that Siddhartha and Atisha gave up luxurious lives in royal palaces to become renunciates and practice the Dharma, to have the freedom to study and practice the Dharma. As she says, my own teachers fled Tibet and became refugees in India, enduring the drastic change of climate that sickened and killed many of their friends and relatives. They cleared jungle lands inhabited by elephants and tigers in South India in order to reestablish their monasteries and continue their studies. So, we may be clearing the land here, but we're not dealing with elephants and tigers. We're dealing with knapweed, and we're dealing with our own mind. And there is absolutely endless support here with the teachings, with our community. Venerable Children.
I've been told that Sravasti Abbey is very strict on their discipline. And I really don't know if I can make it because you don't allow coffee.
It's true. We don't allow coffee. And the good thing is that so far there have been no restrictions put on the number of tea bags we can put into one cup. And believe me, that is a transitional bridge that anyone can cross. And then if you do happen to taste that coffee on a time away from the Abbey after not having had it, you go into such a state of suffering, and you'll probably have a panic attack because your heart is beating 4,000 miles an hour. You'll actually swear off it. So, some limitations, Venerable Children, are actually very beneficial for the mind. And that is actually not, again, one of the obstacles you need to worry about. So we'll talk about this a little bit later. So, the last thing is make strong prayers and aspirations. That's really important. Do your daily practice. making the prayers and aspirations and making Excel sheets for things that are maroon, that's not going to take it, but do your practice. And we'll see you here once our doors are reopened.